showing how you can get really quality information that will improve your performance from the logs that we are posting in the raid logs channel at the end of each raid. Thank you, Derek, for doing that, by the way. This is a really, really good tool. So when you first pull up the log, the summary section of the fight, I think it defaults to the last fight. So you'll be on like the heroic Xavius kill. You'll be able to access any of the bosses from that raid night by clicking on this pull-down menu and seeing, you know, how many times we wiped and whatnot, and you can get an overall view of the night. But that's not really going to help you out in the long run. What will, though, is what I'm about to show you. So let's go to our Odin kill from last night. So summary, sure, a lot of data to take in, but what's important for the individual, what's important for you, is knowing what you did and how you can make improvements. So I'm going to speak from a DPS standpoint. I'll let some of our healers and tanks speak up about the other aspects of improving those roles. So from a DPS standpoint, number one is making sure that you're performing the fight, executing the fight, the mechanics of the fight correctly. So the first thing you can do is on an individual fight like Odin, this problems button, if you click it, you can see a summary of what are the aspects of the fight that are avoidable. What are things that people could have done to make them perform better or make that raid perform better. So this potion section shows who potted and how many people or how many pots were used. So for our Odin kill, me, Fritz, Matt, Pancakes, and Frank were the only people that used pots. And we only used one pot. We didn't even pre-pot. Or maybe those were the pre-pots and we can pot later on. I'm not sure. But a lot of people did not pot for that kill at all. That's kind of a big deal. Health stones. I use these whenever I drop. Just a rule. Whenever I see myself at 50% health, I love our healers, but I also don't want to die. So if I ever see myself below 50%, I eat a health stone. You'll never see me not without a 1 next to my name during any raid fight. And all these people did not consume a health stone, and you'll see that on every single log that we pull. I don't understand. Tanking issues, whatever. I'm sure that had to do with somebody dying and the other tank being whatever. I don't think we have a taunting issue. Slow deaths. So this is where the first place a healer could look to see like who died over a long period of time was taking death. But we can get into how those people died. Here's what's really, really important. Avoidable damage. Here are all of the abilities that Odin does, or any the other people in the room too, that you shouldn't, if you're playing 100% perfect, you should not be taking damage from, hence avoidable. Here's the overall view, so you can see like how many hits of an avoidable ability were taken and the damage associated with them. You can break it down to the abilities too. So Dancing Blade, we've all seen those things in the room. Sean got 4 hits from them, and you can see the description of what they are too, which is nice. So fall damage. This is obviously they got thrown up in a raging tempest. Raging tempest. That's the damage so these are people getting eaten by tornadoes, and then the fall damage that they took afterwards. So that, seeing the avoidable damage section is one way to be like, okay, David, what's going on? What did you were fine with your dancing blades. You ate a lot of spear of lights, which are the little circles that move around the room. That's one place you can make an improvement. Or those are the glowing fragments. He was hit by the actual spears themselves. Okay, David. He's getting hit by both, obviously. If you're getting hit by one, you're definitely going to get hit by the other. So that's one way. Is the avoidable damage section, seeing like that you're using. I guess you don't need to see a log that you didn't use a pot. You know you didn't use a pot. But the avoidable damage section is one way to be like, okay, why am I dying? Why are the healers yelling at me? What is it that I'm messing up on? And you can go and see like, oh, it's specifically this. And if you want to just ask a question about like, hey, I noticed in the log last night that I took a shitload of damage from Spear of Light. What is that? And one of us can be like, well, there's this giant swirly thing on the ground, and then eventually a spear comes up. That's what you were taking damage from. So don't stand and shit. But use it to your advantage. So that's the problem section. Now, the thing that is the most tricky to decipher is how are other people that are my class and spec outperforming me? Like, what am I doing wrong? And so, if you go back to the analysis section, as a DPS, you've got your overall performance on the left side, and that's among everybody that has killed Odin on normal within the past 2 weeks. That is your specking class. And so that's cool, but it's not like you shouldn't. The grain of salt you should take that information with is fucking huge. The eye level percent is actually a much better value, because now it's taking into consideration not just the past 2 weeks of kills with normal Odin, but your item level. Like, what are other people that are similarly geared to me doing? And Frank actually right here has a really odd anomaly where he had a great performance in the grand scheme of things, but the 2,435 demon hunters that are similar item level to him, actually among them he's in the 39th percentile. So that's something you don't see too often. Fritz is in the same boat, so this is a weird log. What you'll normally see, and I think it's just because I guess Fritz and Frank actually have much better item levels at this point. I am lagging behind. So among the almost 20,000 marksmanship hunters that have killed Odin in the past 2 weeks in normal, I was in the 56th percentile. But when you take my item level into consideration, I actually was doing a pretty decent job, 70th percentile. Let's take Sham, for instance. So the first thing you want to do when you're like looking at your damage performance is you have to remember back to whether or not you died, because that's going to mess with and stuff. So Sham did not die on Odin, so he's able to do the best he can. His meters aren't jaded by a death. What you can do is you can go to this compare button and select yourself, and you can edit these. I like the default, which is just similar duration, fight duration, raid size, item level, and recent parses. So the default I'm totally cool with. and you go into search once you select yourself, and you can see, you know, how close of a match they are, and that's the talents that you chose, the trinkets that you're running, item level comparison, like just how close of a match the raid size was and duration. It's all taken into consideration, and you can start to see a trend of like, you know, just making sure that your talents match up. Now let's just pick a high percentage match. So this 80% fella right here, Synex. You click them, and you go into comparison mode. So here is the Odin fight duration, and you will see that they both ramped up fairly similar, although Sham actually got a little bit more juice out of the heroism there. It's nice work, Sham. And you pretty much are neck and neck. Now what happened here is, was there a second Bloodlust? They got a second Bloodlust because of... Sorry, I didn't prepare this study, I just, like, picked it arbitrarily, and that is weird. Like, they bloodlusted again for the people that died, I guess? So, I don't know. We'll have to... Let's put that aside for now. I don't know what that's about. However, you can actually go in and see the number of casts of abilities and what they're hitting for and whatnot. So you can see, like, if you're doing the right percentage of things. So, Storm Strike. Sham had 80 casts of Storm Strike. This guy, 138. Right there, 31, 71, 33, 420. Like, you can see that almost all the other abilities are neck and neck, but those Storm Strikes are... that's a big difference. Like, that's the issue right there for this encounter. And Sham, I'm sure, has lots of other logs that have him performing significantly better, but specifically right here you can see that for whatever reason this guy got off way more Storm Strikes. You can actually break it